Okay, so first, thank you for being available for this conversation. I won't say this is like a normal conference, this is more like a talk among friends. I mean, we know each other. In some cases, you have been following this project for a long period, for over 3 years, so it's good to have all these insights together.
It actually looks like at school with no one sitting in the front seat except the two people.
Yeah, I'm trying to have better grades. Okay, I know that there are some presentations that were prepared by you, basically introducing RBINS and by Uwe. Do you want to put them on the screen before we kick off this conversation? Okay, shall we? Yes, can we please put to the Sandvik? Are they there? Yes, Sandvik. It's you.
Yeah, because today we heard a lot of robotics and also about digitalization. So I will bring you a little bit nearer to the real world of underground mining. So this is basically a movie of the Sandvik optimized system. So it's basically a movie showing the current possibilities, what we have to drive autonomous machines underground, and even basically interlink machines with each other. And also we have diagnostics tool behind, so maybe we can really play this movie, and if there are questions, of course I can answer this afterwards.
Sandvik OptiMine is a modular information management suite that provides accurate and timely information around your mining operations. It is suitable for all mining applications and your entire equipment fleet, including other manufacturers' equipment. Monitoring reveals your equipment utilization, production, and fleet condition. Location tracking provides real-time equipment location and statuses. Scheduler plan your mine development, production, and maintenance activities and allocate their resources. Task management, report and track progress of your tasks. Drill plan visualizer, visualize your drill plan in situ. 3D mine visualizer, full transparency of the mine environment and operations. OptiMine Scheduler is a user-friendly and easy-to-use tool to plan activities and allocate resources effectively. Tasks are dispatched automatically to operators underground in real time. Operators report progress and any deviations. Information is immediately available in the control room. Drill plans and as drilled results, including measure while drilling data, show the planned and actual drilling activity. OptiMine location tracking provides high-precision, real-time locations for all mobile equipment without any additional production area infrastructure. Equipment location and statuses can be tracked via mine visualization, both inside the mine and at the control room. 3D scanning creates a point cloud model of the tunnel. Scanning results are automatically updated to 3D Mine Visualizer. Actual and planned mine models can be viewed from different angles, inside and outside of the tunnel, including any deviations to the plan, for example, over or under break. When the mine network is not available, data can be automatically transmitted using OptiMine Data Bearer. Data is then automatically sent to control room when OptiMine Data Bearer is within network coverage. It is easy to report any exceptions from the tablet. Schedule can be adjusted according to the needs anytime. Operators then receive the updated information to their tablets in real time. The inspection vehicle operator drives to the given location and performs the given task. In this case, it is to investigate and find out the reason for the exception. 3D scanning creates the accurate point cloud model of the environment. Scanning results are immediately available in the control room with 3D Mine Visualizer. The same information is available throughout the organization, underground, in the control room, or at the office, and everywhere. Monitoring keeps you up to date on the mobile fleet status, availability, utilization, and productivity. Transparency in mining operations forms the basis of fact-based decision-making. All data is also available to other mining IT systems. Information at your fingertips, anywhere, anytime, with any device. With Sandvik OptiMine.
And this is an example basically how difficult it is basically to only automate let's say, they started already. How difficult it is to automate basically very simple processes. This is a fully automated telescopic coating rig, so it's drilling the hole. So it's now basically touching the roof and drilling the hole. Because if you put on a mining machine, we have 6 of these motors, for example, and when you only have mechanical availability of 97%, and you see the overall system availability, this brings you down to more than 80%. And 80% is not enough, basically, so mining equipment should operate at more than 90%. So maybe you can show the next slide. And this is basically an automated cutting machine. So you see here, this is a cutter head basically cutting on the board. This also runs completely automated, so you see the control. It's strange because we see it here on your computer. This is the string, so the cutter head is completely moved by the system, so it detects basically below the cutter head, and then the system makes all the adjustment by itself. But it's also just to develop the system to bring it into fields, we need to develop it more or less over 3 years basically. But even not from scratch, so the mechanized process is already available, but just the automation part takes quite a long time just to make it as much reliable as possible. Maybe you can go to the next slide. This is basically how the underground world works today. So basically machines and people underground, they are closed off from each other because this is according to the work regulation policies. So if we operate completely autonomous vehicles underground, we have to put in laser barriers. And if a person basically goes through this laser barrier, then the entire section just shuts off. So all the vehicles are stopped and do not move anymore. Then we have also, let's say, a little bit more intelligent systems. This is this proximity detection system. Here you have some interaction between the machine and the human being. So there are, basically you see these sounds. There are green sounds, these slightly yellow sounds and red sounds. So the green sounds are safe. The yellow sounds, these are the warning sounds. So you get the flashlight on the machine, which is warning you that you may enter dangerous area. And the same basically happens on the lamp of the miners. It's also blinking, and sometimes you also get a vibration. And then when you enter the red area, then everything is shut off. So the machine is not moving anymore. And this is how we see it today, but of course in the ideal world you would be more or less here on the right side, that machines and human beings can really interact with each other, because at the end, when you automate processes underground, then you turn the roles around basically. So then machines work autonomous and people have to assist machines. So this is also just from my side. I think this you can skip, because I think we discussed anyhow later about that. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you. So we are now, please. You also prepared something.
Just one slide.
Okay.
It's simply to introduce a bit the discussion. No movie, so that should work. No sound except my voice. Yeah, it's a slide that did 3 or 4 years ago, and I've used this slide a couple of times, so sorry if you have already seen this one. But it's related to a part of the discussion of today is what can be the mining sector in Europe by 2050. Can we even imagine it? And I put 2 pictures. The left one is the vision of the geologist. It's what we think about geology. So the geologist is usually someone, a guy or a girl that work in, let's say, a remote part of the world where there is not much things, perhaps, or deposit, but not much things. And that's the vision that we have as geologists. And I think it's also the vision that the general public has of the geologists. But I think there is, on the right-hand side, some sort of vision of Europe by 2050. By 2050, Europe will be green. You will have green everything, and everything will be with renewable energy. You can see there are solar panel, wind turbine. There will be public transport, and people will walk, less car, obviously. And over there, both the general public and the geologists do not see the geology, but actually the geology is everywhere over there, especially the raw materials. If you look at over there, the wind turbine, the solar panel, even the biomass tanks, or even the Rhine rail are all related to extraction of raw materials. And I think it's something that we need to pass the information to the general public, that they are surrounded by raw materials. It's not something that just pop up like a flower. It's something that we need to find it. And so my main message for that is, if we want, because it was part of the discussion of this morning about public acceptance on new mines, I think it's we need to communicate. If we think that raw material extraction will be still necessary by 2050, we need to communicate, to educate people, to explain them that things do not pop up from nothing. That's all.
Okay. That's a great start to our conversation. Shall we go back here? Please join me. Thank you. Okay, so I will start probably with Kiril, because I know that you have been working also on robots, but using a different size of robots. So this is the future that you are seeing, the movies that Uwe just showed us with these big machines, or it can be something completely different. this 2050 Europe?
Thank you. Well, I will lead a project in the UK which has to do with the small robots. When I say small, maybe 50, 100 times the one we saw today in the pool. And they wouldn't be as clever robots, like your robots, which are full of wonderful sensors and things like that. But they will be more stupid robots. There'll be a lot of them. And the reason why, because my application of these robots are to inspect a massive underground pipeline system, which we use every day when we drink clean water or we dispose of wastewater. And you need a lot of them, so we can't actually have robots so complicated like the one we saw today. So I guess my question for the discussion is how to find the balance. Find the balance between the small and not so small, intelligent and not so intelligent. So pervasive and not so pervasive. So how small do we need to be to inspect? How many of those units we need to keep inspection of these underground spaces continuous and pervasive? So I guess it's my point for discussion.
Okay, it's a good point for discussion. Also, if I may, Massimo, with the EIT, will be funding the follow-up of UNEXMIN. And the EIT, of course, is a partnership of organizations, including research organizations and universities and companies. So are companies interested in this? Do you see markets there?
How much time do I have to reply to that?
No.
Good afternoon, everybody. Massimo Gasparon, EIT Raw Materials. I'm the Director of Innovation at EIT Raw Materials. Just a very quick introduction of who we are. How many of you know about EIT? Okay, some of you don't. So half a minute introduction. So EIT is an organism funded by the European Commission. So we are part of, and it's divided into a number of groups, we call them KICs. So these are knowledge and innovation communities, one of which is focused on raw materials, which in our language doesn't mean beef, wheat, cotton. It means minerals and metals and also advanced materials. What we do is we are a partner-based organization. We are a private company, so we are not part of the European Commission. And that gives us a lot of freedom in what we want to support, in a way. But that means that our partners have a lot of freedom in what they want to support, because as a partner-based organization, our main goal is to support our partners, to provide networking opportunities, and to really advance the profile of raw materials within Europe and indeed around the world. As Vitor said, we are supporting financially, and that's one of the things that we do. We give money to projects to do things, and we are supporting the follow-up of UNEXMIN, which is called UNEXUP. And so now, after the introduction, to answer your question, yes, indeed, the industry is very interested in these kinds of developments. Not only industry, universities and research organizations as well. And that's why digitalization and the development of sensors and generally speaking, technological advancement is certainly one of the, in a very broad sense, it's certainly one of the areas that we want to support. So that was a very long answer. The short answer is that yes, the industry is very interested in developing this, both in-house, but also sometimes they need the support of research and crazy academics to really develop the crazy, funky things that they cannot support themselves, simply because the time frame for operation is quite different and the state of mind is quite different. That's really where we can help to put together the practical, pragmatic mining engineer with the crazy, esoteric academic, and that's where the magic happens, and that's where the real innovation, the real spark can start.
Okay. Thank you, Massimo. Just let me also ask Michael, here on my right. Michael is a geologist working at EIT. Michael Haschke, and the name is not in the list, but he was invited because he's well aware of what happened in UNEXMIN, because you have been in the advisory board for 2 years. But the question that you just made, where is geology, is something that we, as a profession, I mean as geologists, is this going to replace geologists in the field, all these technologies, or there are still space for us? What do you think?
Thank you very much. I think Yves hit a very sensitive spot of geology. Geology is everywhere, but we have to look after our remains, such as tailings. We have to look after our tailings. I don't have to remind you of the latest accident. We have to make sure these kind of things are safe, and actually we know how to do it. The industry is changing a big time. Just to stay with the example of tailings for a second, all the big players, they have started to change tailings from wet tailings to dry tailings. So change is on the way, the industry is responding. But such a big industry, like big player miners, they are not changing from one day to another, you have to give them some time. So I do think, I do share Yves' opinion that geology is in fact everywhere, and we just simply can't do without it. We need the resources. For EIT Raw Materials, as you probably know, DMT is operating a total of currently 48 large-scale R&D projects, more than 20 of them being EIT Raw Materials project. So we have a great experience with EIT from the very beginning. But I do wish that every one of these projects, not only EIT projects, every one of our 48 projects would be as successful as the UNEXMIN. So I really want to commend you to the extraordinary success. You finished a product, the product is operating, you made a demonstration, you created a company, you secured your first jobs. I wish every single project of ours could be so successful. So I really want to commend you, and I actually recommend this project to be a role model for raw materials project. This is how it can end and continue, actually move on. So I have a very good feeling about this.
Thank you. This is excellent. Thank you, Michael. Uwe, you mentioned safety, but sometimes I have this perception that technology does not necessarily mean more safety, because just to start the movie, we had all these technology problems. So if you are down there in the mine, do we really want more technology? I mean, miners and people, are they comfortable with having all this technology around, and suddenly if power goes out, where are we staying? Is this a problem for the companies or not yet?
Yeah, no, not really, basically. So, but of course, what you should do first is basically to focus on the easy processes, because the more stable a certain process is, the easier it is to fully mechanize, and then later also to fully automate. Because you should not, let's say, go for the very complicated things first, so always start with the easy things. So this is, as I showed in the movie, for example, when you see a drill rig, for example, so an operator does not necessarily have to move permanently the joystick left and right and forward, backward, just to cover this drilling pattern. So these are easy things, basically, you could really automate. And then you can also use the workforce, which is then free, because it does not need to manually drill anymore for handling other smaller issues basically around the machine. So because in the past you needed an operator, and sometimes you needed a person on the site for a certain percentage, maybe to 30-50% or whatever, and they called it in the mining, this was the clerk basically. So he was just running around the machine and looking if the machine is running the correct way, or do they show up some maintenance items or whatever. So this is, and automation, of course, is the future in the mining, and you see even this autonomous driving vehicles. So a vehicle, and so we get it on the street anyhow, but in the mining, of course, it's somehow a little bit easier, because as I also showed, the interaction basically is currently not there. So if you drive a vehicle is autonomous, you shut off this area in the mine where they drive autonomous. So on road running vehicles, it's a little bit difficult, because you will have interaction with others.
But all the mining, we don't have GPS, and guided is a problem. I'm asking Yves because he has a story about the importance of a guiding mechanism. Because if you don't have a good guiding mechanism, then you can close your equipment, right? I mean, it's more complicated than it seems. So the question is, without GPS, how can we do it? How can underground?
Yeah, but without GPS, yeah, okay. But obviously, we have so many sensors that allow to have no virtual reality of the mine. So it means we have the technology now to know where we are underground. And in our survey, we start to work also on the aspect of network of sensors that communicate the position, the information, and so it's something that is really quite easy to develop very quickly. It's not something that will be done by 2050. It's already more or less on the market.
Because you have a story that we can perhaps share with you.
Yeah, but I try to avoid the story. Yeah, no, it's
now everybody's waiting.
Yeah. No, it was let's say about 10 years ago. With one of my colleagues, we started to develop the equipment to acquire airborne image, and it was based on the helium balloon with 2 helium balloons to balance and to have a flight more or less horizontal. Remember 10 years ago, drones were not that available, and obviously we tried the systems, and I guess with the UNEXMIN it was the same thing. The first tries are not always perfectly conclusive. So during a try in Spain, we launched our balloon. Thank you, Elizabeth. And the system was supposed to come back on the ground by itself. And unfortunately, something wrong happened, and our probe is now in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea because we were not able to communicate in real time with our systems. So it's part of experience that's shown. Yeah, that's something that is really necessary to be able to communicate. And you face the same thing with UNEXMIN robots. If you launch them autonomously, fully, without tethering, there is a risk.
Norbert always has a cable.
He needs to recover the UNEXMIN.
And that's why Australian Aborigines about 60,000 years invented the boomerang, because they understood that those communication problems are a real issue. So there's something we can learn from them.
No doubt.
But it's not always safe when it comes back.
Kiril, you told me that you have been... Yeah, but Kiril told me that he's been working on swarms. I mean, you can have robots that will be working and communicating to each other. So there are also challenges there, with different, I imagine, functions depending on robots. How is this evolving? Do you see that there is a connection between what we have here now with UNEXMIN and that possible future applicable in mining?
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually how to find the right balance, because you can have one complicated robot, so actually you might not have all this intelligence. Ultimately, it would be nice to have this robot fully autonomous. And if the robot is so complicated, so there's a big risk to lose just one expensive unit. Whereas another opportunity is to deploy small robots, which are cooperative, so they help each other, talk to each other, they support each other, can actually configure into something which help each other to go into spaces. Each individual element of this robot can be reasonably low intelligence, but combined together they can provide a reasonably high intelligence. And actually, in my view, it's a nice alternative to this, because losing each of those elements is not a big deal. So because of the redundancy in the system. So, and how to find again a balance between the risk associated with sending something which is not very intelligent in big swarm and enabling them actually at the same time to cooperate, to combine the raw intelligence to deliver what they need to do. In my case, it is inspection. Maybe in some cases actually it's prospecting of the minerals and so on. So that's an open question. I mean, so and I don't think swarm intelligence has been explored enough for this kind of applications. So it's just an open question. I don't have an answer to this. My personal view, if you look at the massive underground pipe system, that's what I'm focusing on. It's so large you can't do it with one single robot, it has to be small. But in the case of occasionally with mining, it may be a single unit robot, but perhaps it's still too risky to send a single unit, particularly without a cable. So, because it can be lost. So, yeah, how to find the balance, it's an open question in my view. And how to develop the intelligence in the next 50 years. You can trust to send it along without cable.
So, I guess for the future we'll be having many questions. One is that, the other is the size, also which size do we need to have a response? Because from your presentation I also realized that you are talking about automating existing machines, that's the first step. But if you want to reduce the size, then you'll be having problems. I mean, you need to have strength to push rods up. So, do you have already addressed that problem, or this is something that you believe it is on a faraway, distant future?
Yeah, let's say we also looked in the past into, let's say, new rock excavation technology, so maybe excavation technology which do not need so much force as we need today, because currently with the actual machine, it's the bigger the better, basically. So because rock integration currently is a force-related process, so as the more force you basically get into the rock mass for integration, the more volume comes out. And here we also looked into different technologies. For example, we looked into microwave technology, so that you really disintegrate rock, so that you create basically artificial cracks in the rock, and then you could easily maybe rip it out. But of course, these are, let's say, technologies which could work. But let's say from an application point of view, or even an underground application point of view, we are currently somehow a little far away. So currently we see that when you really want to produce high volumes, you are using bigger vehicles basically. But I would not exclude it. So if someone detects a very clever, let's say, new rock integration, disintegration method which does not use a lot of force, of course we would look into it. Yeah? Because also heavy vehicles, they create also a lot of other, let's say, special circumstances, because you need to move them, you need to operate them, because also the operation of a heavy vehicle needs a lot of energy, basically. So when we look at our biggest mining machines, they have 260 tons. They are used, they are powered with 1.5 megawatt, but they produce 2,000 tons of potash per hour. So this is where you are with the current systems, but you could also, let's say, use maybe more clever systems with alternative technologies, because we also looked into high pressure water jetting, and this also works, but it's very limited, and of course these alternative methods, they're also quite cost intensive sometimes. So you really also need to look at your excavation costs, because at the end when the method would be applicable, but even it is too expensive, it would not be used.
Just remind me that the EIT has a special, let's say, focus also on energy, right? Yep. So is there something that will be bridging between these two worlds? Because in the future, developments of robotics in mining will be also requiring a lot of energy, and this is something being developed in another EIT project.
Vitor, your questions are very complicated, but I will try to That's good. So Vitor is referring to the fact that one of the communities within the EIT is called Energy. It's one of the first waves of KICS, so it's one of the communities that were formed in the early stages, whereas we are a lot more, we are a lot younger. The main focus of Energy, so the short answer is not really. There isn't much connection from that point of view, because the focus of Energy is really on, and I shouldn't speak for them really, but it's really on securing capital and securing ways of doing the transition from the brown economy to the green economy. That's the main goal, and that's why they're leading major initiatives in terms of supplying batteries for electric vehicles. That's one of the things that they're very strong in. We do have a strong links with them, and in some projects we do look at energy as part of the life cycle assessment of our projects. A lot more could be done from that point of view. We are certainly very focused on that, but again we have to be careful that we don't tread on each other's feet from that point of view, because our mandate is really to focus on essentially securing the supply of raw materials and not into finding alternative energy sources. That's also the reason why we don't consider uranium, and we don't consider fossil fuels, we don't consider any form of energy production systems. So having said that, however, we do have a lot of initiatives that are coordinated jointly by the different KICS that look at also the energy balance of operations. And within our own projects, we certainly look at energy savings and water savings as part of the overall success of the project itself. And indeed, energy will be a big focus of one of our flagship programs. Last year we launched 3 different lighthouses, we call them, that's the name we gave them. They're essentially sets of topics that we want to really push because we think they're really important for the sector. And one of the lighthouses is on electric mobility, essentially on battery materials and on the lightweight design for electric vehicles of any kind. Another one is on circular societies and industrial symbiosis, and the third one, which will be officially launched just before the Fennoscandian Shield meeting in Levi in Finland at the end of October, is going to focus on sustainable discoveries and supplies, and within that lighthouse a lot of emphasis will be put on energy and water management within mining and processing operations. So there are certainly a lot of synergies there. There could be more, but if anyone has good ideas on how to advance this even more, we are obviously very happy to hear.
Okay, thank you, Massimo. Really, it's now a good time to ask the audience if there are questions, if we invite you to, let's say, to participate in this conversation around this. If you have questions, please just let us know, put your hand, and I'll be sending someone with the mic. No questions for the time being. Oh, there is one. Yes, please, Steve. There is another microphone coming in. I know that many people knows you, but please tell us where you're coming from and your name.
Okay, Steve Henley from RCI for Decoders in the UK, participant in both UNEXMIN and RBINS projects, and in due course in UNEXIT. So I have an interest in the field. I'm also a geologist. I think there is a common area here which we need to explore, which actually affects all of these projects, and that is in small-scale deposits, very commonly narrow vein deposits, which can't be mined economically with conventional large-scale mining equipment. So we're looking at small-scale equipment to mine them, to minimize the waste and also to reduce the energy usage. So it's effectively the question of sustainability of the mining, and also not concentrating on production rate in terms of large tonnages, but efficiency of the production. And I think this is what we should be concentrating on.
Shall we direct that question to someone in particular? I see that's a good point. Kiril, do you want to add?
I think it goes back again to the balance between the small and large, swarm and single unit. For example, if you look at biologically inspired solutions, if you look at, say, bees, they're pretty good actually exploring the resources which are spread over a large area, but in each of these pods it's a small amount, so therefore this how they operate. But looking at other animals, for example, they focus on specific bigger pods of, say, food chain, so then they don't operate in big swarms, they just single units. Actually it goes back to the point where you can have a big machine. To find this balance based on the idea how spread the resources are is an open question again. In the same inspection, because if you look at the underground pipes, so the damage you're looking for is spread over a very large area of the system. That's why swarm robotics is better than using single robot. So whereas if you know these concentration of something in a specific point, so then it's better to use a larger, more accurate machine.
Yes, please.
You really hit the nail on the head there, because that's really where the real innovation could be, and that's really where the big changes that we could see coming up in the near future. If you look at the mining industry now, in most cases it's a matter of making a big hole, using a lot of energy and resources to do that, and then using a lot of energy and resources to manage that. If we could come up with a way of avoiding making the big hole in the first place, then and harvesting resources from very low grade deposits in a very efficient way, that would change completely the face of the mining industry, and it would change completely the public's perception of what mining is. So if anyone has any good ideas on how to move in that direction, we're very interested in hearing that. In the meantime, of course, we need to keep on developing the mining that we know today, and we keep on developing things that we know today and optimize them. And this is what some of these projects that we are supporting are doing. But that's the kind of radical change in the way of thinking that probably will take us into the year 2050. If we don't do that, I think it's going to be hard to imagine that picture that you show on the right-hand side, because we'll have a lot of holes and not many green fields around. So any good ideas, we are in that direction. We'll be very happy to hear from you.
Okay, if I may also, do you think that in that 2050 future, this will be more acceptable than the mines that we have today? I mean, small mines with swarms of robots going in. Do you think that people will be more willing to accept that?
That's going to be a quite challenging activity, because we need also to consider what we call small mines, because it's what we are speaking now. There are some legal aspects, I think, so regarding the permitting, because when we speak about small mines, that depends on the sort of deposit that we have. If it is one single veins that we want to extract for, let's say, a couple of months or 1 year, with a very limited impact on the surface, I think we can imagine. But if we have many small veins, at the end we will have an area which is strongly affected. And so I think it's not simply to say, oh, we will go for small deposit. Small deposits are usually many of them. And so at the end, we need to be sure that we will not have the general aspect of a big cheesecake, emmental cheese with more everywhere. I know from experience, I've been working in Congo with, we call that informal mines or illegal mines, if you prefer. And if you look at some field, there are very small mines, but there are so many of them that you walk like on the surface of the moon. I mean, it's crater everywhere. So that's something that will need to be also addressed. But I think it's the geologists need to focus on that, to characterize, to have characterization of the association of many deposits.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I can really understand and support what Stephen is saying. Small and artisanal scale mining was always there, and it's certainly triggered by increasing resource prices. Just let the price level go high enough, and it will encourage artisanal small scale mining. It always did. But we still need to look after our tailings, because at some point when you extract the veins, even if it's small material, it will leave cavities. And in this area, when you extract the vein material from many cavities, it will still create an unstable underground. So you cannot build any houses or schools or hospitals above that, not easily anyway. So this is something that we still need to keep in mind, and I still want to stress the point we have to make sure we deal with our tailings, small scale or large scale. The tailings need to disappear, and then the public opinion is expected to change. The other approach that we are doing, because you mentioned the example of Congo, we are developing, currently with the support of EIT Raw Materials, a resource certification. You have surely heard this from a movie, Blood Diamonds. It's actually true, it's actually happening. There is a resource certification happening as we speak. It's currently being developed. It's an umbrella scheme, it's called SERA. It's currently being implemented, it's currently being supported by the United Nations, and we think that we will be able to implement this sometime soon, probably at the end of next year. We have already created the first pilot certification scheme, and we are in the process to elaborate more, and we're also doing our first on-site pilot actually in Congo and in Portugal. This is being planned at this stage. Thank you.
Okay. Is there the audience? Can I make it? Yes, please.
I think the other thing what we have to look in is into, let's say, low impact mining, because you can also operate a mine conventionally. There's a good example in Austria, the Wintersee tungsten mine, for example. It's a small, let's say, mine compared to a global scale, but it's currently the biggest mine in Austria. So they're producing roughly 500,000 tons per year, and they basically got a restriction, because this mine is near the national park, the Tauern Park, which is a natural resource, and when you do not know basically where the mine is, you will even not notice that this is a mine. So you can really do it completely underground. So they have the offices underground, they backfill everything, but of course it needs to pay, because the tungsten has a certain price on the market. So if they're profitable, they can do it. When they're not profitable anymore, of course it would be cursed.
Okay, thank you. I see Gora's there.
Goran Žibrat from Geological Survey of Slovenia. I see many ways of future development of future mine, and I will talk now about next 100, 200 years in the future, so far future. So one way of developing is miniaturization, so precise mining small deposits, low impact mining, and so on. So we took already some steps, UNEXMIN Raw Miners, step by step. But another way of development, I see, you will have robots which are capable to sense the environment, to make some decisions, and so on. So small units. But you need a brain. If you like to have autonomous automatic mining, you will need a brain, some sort of artificial intelligence or whatever to make an exploration, to control the robots, to direct the specific tasks to specific robots, and so on. And in the far future, if you, for example, to aim the mining on asteroids or other planets and so on, we also need to focus a bit on the better processing techniques. So it will be not likely that the ore will be transported back to Earth, but only this highly extracted, highly concentrated, valuable metal. So in the far future, I can see that three key components of future developments in mining. So mining machines and machines plus tasks, then the brain, who controls that, and the new processing techniques.
Okay. Do you want to comment? Because on the brain, I think that we have seen now digital coming to everything, the Internet of Things and all these things together. Is this the new brain? Perhaps we can start, because this is a good point.
Well, it is a very good point when you develop something which is small, miniaturized, I would say. And it's very hard to put all the brain intelligence in something small. And the question is how much you delegate to this thing to do itself, and how much control you would actually do over the remote communication link, which may not be very stable. And again, balancing risk and potential gain is something people need to look at. Because if you make it small, so then you don't entrust so much intelligence in it by default. And then there will be a risk of failure, so therefore we need to reduce redundancy. And people haven't looked at it, in my view.
More comments from the audience? Or from the people there? Okay, I believe, Massimo, this is something that only works if there is international cooperation, because all these futures, it requires a system like the European system, or the EIT. In, let's say, a nationalist framework, this won't work, right? It's a big challenge also.
Right, yes, indeed. And let me take your cue and go one step back, because I really like what you were talking about communication between the two different robots. And again, communication is the key. So now we're talking about internationalization. So there are two levels of communication. Before we were talking about technology that enhances the level of communication between different machines, which is something that we definitely need. The other one is communication between us and the public, between the operator of the mine and the people who live there, between us and the politicians in Brussels. And of course that has an international dimension. We cannot do that, or well, we can certainly do it within the national boundaries, but mining is a global business. It involves communities that are spread across the different countries through the value chain. So internationalization is certainly an important aspect of what we do. I mean, all of you are involved in projects that are dealing with a number of partners from different countries within the EU. From the EIT Raw Materials point of view, of course, that's our bread and butter. That's a requirement to get funding, that you have the different countries involved in the project. And we also want to push it very strongly that countries also outside the EU are involved. Of course, there are lots of rules and caveats and limitations on how we can move the money across different countries. But definitely this is an important part of our strategy. The EIT itself, so the politicians in Budapest, have identified three main target countries for internationalization projects. These are the United States, Israel and China. We are quite active in the US and in China. I'm going to be in China in 2 weeks' time for a big conference. It's called China Mining. And by the end of February, the EIT will open an office in Beijing to really facilitate the exchange of information, the two-way exchange of information between European entities that go from startup to big industries and the Chinese counterparts. That doesn't limit our sphere of action. Of course, we are very interested in Africa. We've been looking at Central Africa, Congo, as a very interesting site where to pilot the things and make a difference. Again, our role is, as EIT Raw Materials, not to, we don't invent anything, we don't create anything, but we want to make a difference in terms of the well-being of European society and the well-being of every society. So that's why we're very interested in Africa and a number of other countries. So again, if you're thinking of doing projects with international partners or expanding your current projects with international partners, we're very happy to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you. From the audience, okay, you are free to jump in whenever you want. I have something just came up also to my mind on Sandvik. I realized that this is an expensive, this is a big investment, building up a robot. And this is a first step. So in the future, whatever we'll be having, it will be an expensive device. So this looks like something that might be feasible in Europe or in the United States. I don't know about China, but almost not for sure in Africa. In Africa we'll be having all these small mines because it's much cheaper.
Yeah, it's deeply
so I believe this is the case, right? In the future, all these robots is something for the developed world. For the time being, Africa or companies like Sandvik won't be, providing this for low cost because it's not possible, simply. So how do you see robots coming? In space, perhaps? Or in rich countries?
No, I think a part of the idea to develop the robots is to allow also to export them later on and to do the business with that. I think when we look at regions of Europe, like here in Belgium, there is 6 million of inhabitants in Flanders, 4 million inhabitants in Wallonia. So that means it's the size of a big Chinese city. So what we need for Europe is to develop the know-how. We cannot compete with the Chinese regarding size, numbers. In UNEXMIN there was, let's say, 50 people involved in it. The Chinese can put 1,000 people to work on it. Perhaps not as efficient as you are, but so we need really to provide new tools with very added value. I think it's a way for Europe, but that needs to be useful also for the case of Europe for extraction. So I think it's a big niche, a big market for Europe to look at development of tools to operate small scale mining, because it's something that I think is not even thought in China. You will know that perhaps in 2 weeks, perhaps in the United States, but elsewhere I think everybody is still focusing on the big one, because to extract, to start to have the permitting, to make the recognition, it's a lot of work and a lot of expense before to really start to extract something.
Yes, please, Mike.
I'd like also to point out that it's not only the exploration which may be relevant as a market. Let's not forget mine closure. I can see a lot of potential in the mine closure market. One of the most obvious ones, many mine operations. I can think about 36 shafts, partially flooded shafts in Poland that require, by law, regular inspection. How can you possibly do it any better than with such a robot? They're partially flooded. I can also think of 12 mines in Spain managed by UNOSA. So these are obvious markets, and the freshly initiated company could simply address that. The ones in Poland are managed by SRK. So this is something. This is why I like this project so much, that they founded a new company, as Massimo pointed out, innovation is also about commercialization. Let's not forget the commercialization part, which actually defines the innovation. So I really like to see these new technologies. It makes me personally very happy to see these technologies in action and being marketed and also, of course, being sold. Let's not forget that mining is also a business. It needs to produce turnover and also some profits so that we can invest it into bigger machines, things like that. But we also have, for instance, the Coal Regions in Transition platform. Currently, the European Commission has been developing this platform for the last 2 years. 41 regions all over Europe about to close their coal mines sooner or later. The Polish a little later, Germans a little earlier. But they all, not all of them, but some of them have shafts, especially the hard coal ones. France, UK, Germany, Spain, they all need, you cannot simply switch off the pumps and let the water level rise until the level where it used to be. You have to inspect these shafts because there are pumps down there. Somebody needs to look after these pumps. These pumps need to keep on pumping. So I can see a great market. So I just want to push that point again, that commercialization. Thank you.
It's a good point for you next.
Yes, Massimo.
Just make another comment. And again, just to answer your question, can we deploy these expensive machines in these countries that don't have the funding to support them? So one thing is the cost of developing them, and this is why rich and wealthy countries can invest into the research and into the commercialization of that. So that's what the Commission is doing by supporting these projects. And one thing is to deploy them in these other places. So we're talking about two different kinds of costs. And the other challenge that I want to throw is, what is the cost of not deploying these pieces of equipment in these countries? And if you look at the policies of the European Union, there's going to be a huge amount invested into Africa, for example, exactly to somehow manage these mass migration issues that we're going to face in the very near future. So this is not an idealistic discussion. This is real money that is going to go into developing capacity, into developing resources locally. So without this kind of assistance, yes, it will be very hard to deploy these high technology equipment in less wealthy parts of the world, but with this kind of assistance, I think we can do it. And of course create market opportunities for our industries and better living conditions for the people who live there. It's a win-win situation. I hate that expression, but it is.
It's a good point. But of course it will help if the prices of metals go up, because I believe that can make a difference. Right? My perception, because you mentioned that, is that now the prices tend to be pushed down by the industry, and we live in a world where Facebook has a market share or a market value which goes over the market value of Rio, for instance. So there is still a big stress for the miners and the mining industry on the prices.
Can they buy that?
Yeah, currently we looked at raw material prices are very volatile, so really that's going up, down at the moment. But coming back to if they can really afford this equipment. So in the mining, you have to ask what is expensive, because also today standard mining machine, our biggest ones, cost 10 million euros per machine. And mining is very simple; they will buy it if it pays off. So this is how it principally works. So and even you should not underestimate China, because China is really quite advanced basically, even when it comes to mining. So you should not think that you put primitive mining equipment into the Chinese market, because they will throw you out. So they are quite interested in technology, and so you should not deliver shit to China. So this is really how China is not working anymore. So the Chinese are quite advanced. We even see basically in the automotive industry when it comes now to electric cars and so on. So they're really quite advanced. And at the end, really, equipment needs to pay off. So if there's a reason basically why you should buy it, then of course they will buy it.
It just remind me the made in Germany
tag that was invented after the World War to say these products are low quality. And nowadays, made in Germany means high quality products. Something that probably will happen also with China in the future. So if there are no, I don't know if you want to say some closing remarks on this project, because I also would like to invite Norbert to tell us his view, because you have been the leader of this project, and this was a very successful project. You made a very impressive presentation about the difficulties and the challenges that you faced. So how do you see the future for this UNEXMIN UX2, not the one? The one that I imagine will be built soon.
How do I see it? The bits and pieces were already said a couple of times during the day, and it's just a kind of summary about the costs. We should make it cheaper. I don't know how much cheaper we can make the robot, but if we can make the service much more reliable and much more low operational cost, of course the service can be made much more cheaper, even magnitudes orders cheaper than now we are doing. And this is our next step. Stabilize the technology and make it available for marketable price. Because if we charge hundreds of thousands of euros for a mapping of a mine, then they will not pay it. If we can do it in 20K, they will be happy to pay it. So this is our next step. Try to do less operational costs, less maintenance costs, and more reliability. But Uwe said they were not happy with the 97% success of the drilling of the holes. This is something with the robot. When we are confident it will come back, and 100 times it will come back, we don't have to put the price of losing the robot in our services. And if we prove it's coming back, the insurance of that equipment can go down. And it will take the whole technology closer to the market. But I see it's quite a long way and hard way, but we figured something, and now we start to stabilize and make it cheaper. Because if you not make it cheaper, it is like exploration in the moon. You can do it once and nobody cared what was the price of stepping on the moon for first. But if it's a daily basis, then you really think about the price. And this is a big difference between educational research or high-tech research and doing something for the market. And now we really have to change our minds in the group, where we focus on the market and make it really economic.
We did 3 years.
We promised our best in 3 years, yes.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah, but we still have the idea, we already have the ideas how to proceed, because we learned a lot in these 3.5 years. So if we could start this project with the knowledge we have now, that would be something much more cooler and more reliable. But you have to learn through your mistakes, but if you don't do anything, then you will not develop. So I don't say we did it wrong, but we do it better next time, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Norbert. I think this is an excellent, I would say, perspective for the future, meaning that if you are starting now the new follow-up with the knowledge that you have already with you and within this consortium, I mean, this is good news for the future, because it shows that we have at least a vision. You have learned already a lot, so it's a bright, I would say, perspective, a good approach for the future. So I'd like to, because Michael just highlighted this in the beginning, this is one of the cases where I believe the money from the taxpayers has been well applied. So congratulations to the UNEXMIN consortium, because we have developed something that exists, that works, that is useful, And I remember that in the beginning when the project was approved, I remember some people were saying, wow, robots, this is not really what you need. We need more different approaches for opening minds. And this is not the case. I mean, you are just proved that this is really what Europe needs, and this might be the way forward. So congratulations to the UNEXMIN project, to the consortium, to you as coordinator, because I believe that's the best way to close this audience and this exciting day is with a big applause to you and with best wishes for the future. Thank you.
Only 2 sentences, because I was coordinating this project and it went well because there was something to coordinate, because people were working, they wanted to prove. So I'd like to thank all the partners, all the workers of the team who did their work in the project, because there was at least 50 people behind me who did this work. So I'm there, my name is there, but 50 people is working day and night for that one, so we really like to thank them, and also for you to join this event. So, but for, I think, a big hand also for the workers of the unit.
So a big applause. Okay, so I believe some of us will be traveling back home today, others will be staying. For those who will be staying, enjoy Brussels. I do. Okay, thank you. And this is it. This is the end of this roundtable and this session. I hope you enjoyed these glimpses on the future. And let's see what will happen with the UNEXMIN 2 or 3 under the EIT Now support. Thank you, everyone.